Hi, Rob here. Welcome to the IELTS Transformation Writing course. This lesson is about the writing task 1, academic, the overview. So hopefully you've watched the lesson previously about task 1, academic writing, the academic report, and you remember that we need an overview. Well, I'm going to show you here, give you more detail about how to write an effective overview. And you need a clear overview to get your target score. It's quite a simple thing to do when you understand how to do it, and then you practice and think about it. But if you don't get it right, you're risking a low score. So as we mentioned before, for a band 7, it presents a clear overview of main trends, differences or stages. 6 presents an overview with information appropriately selected, and a band 5, no clear overview. So it's important. Again, we're repeating this a little bit, but the question is to summarize the information, not just to recount detail. So we need to summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features. So back to the questions, what's going on here? What are the biggest increases? What are the biggest decreases? What are the biggest numbers? What are any changes are happening? Just summarize the changes. And we need to make comparisons where relevant. So our whole thinking needs to be comparisons. We've got to address and cover the requirements of the task. If you just describe the information, you are recounting detail, which is a band 5. So, and really the overview is the first step into this way of thinking. So we don't want to jump into detail and look at all the little numbers. We want to step back and think about what's going on overall here. What's the summary of this? So it's one sentence that summarizes the main trends and what is happening overall. Are all the numbers going up or down? We've got lots of examples here, so we will have a look. So it doesn't contain the main features, but talks about the whole picture. So you might say, overall, Americans are consuming more energy. Okay, because you've got all these lines on the graph, which I'll show you. Overall, they're consuming more, but what are all the individual lines doing? Those are the main features. Are all the numbers increasing or decreasing? What are the biggest changes or numbers? What is basically happening overall? Again, it can go anywhere, but we recommend putting it in the second sentence. I'm repeating myself, but you can put it at the end, but you don't need a conclusion in the task 1. It's an academic report, not an essay. So I'm suggesting that you put it first because it's more logical. Also, for the process. So a process is when they talk about something that they're making, someone is making. For example, there's one in book 9 or 8 about cement. I think we have that example here, but there are 5 different stages to make cement. Cement is what we use in building, to put bricks together and hold things. So you've got to mention the number. So overall there are 5 steps to creating cement, to manufacturing cement, whatever the situation. So again, put the information away from you, the task away from you. If we do that here, you can just pretty much say that, because you can't see the numbers, you can see that there's 3 sections about a third each in this example. So this is what I'm calling the helicopter view. Move it away from you. People get too involved in detail. So this is the first step in the process, is to move it away and ask yourself the questions. So the same as in a helicopter. In a helicopter, you can't see people. You see buildings and can't see details at all. So we need you to get in your helicopter, please, and fly high. So obviously this is just for diagrams, processes, graphs and charts, not for tables because they are just numbers, so you can't do that. So here's the one I mentioned earlier, look. The graph below gives information from a 2008 report about consumption of energy in the US since 1980 with projections until 2030. So, summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparisons where relevant. So what can we say here? Well, are all the numbers going up or are all the numbers going down? Well, basically they're all going up, aren't they? Apart from hydropower. And these three are consumed much more than these three. So these three are basically renewable energy and nuclear, and these are traditional, we call them fossil fuels. So in other words, we're taking something from the ground and burning it. So, but obviously petrol and oil is by far the biggest or the most consumed. And then we've got coal and natural gas, and they're increasing at a similar sort of rate, aren't they? Okay. So let's have a look at the overview for this. Overall, fossil fuel use continues to rise a lot, while renewable energy and nuclear only rise slightly. So I've grouped solar, wind and hydro together and calling them renewables. So that covers it really. I mean, don't worry too much about, oh, I don't know the word fossil fuel. Don't worry about that. I could have just said overall, petrol, oil, coal and natural gas continue to rise up. That would have been fine. Most of my examples that I'm showing you are a model of what we would expect for a 9, a band 9. Okay. Have a look at this one. So as you can see here, there's a total number of minutes in billions of telephone calls in the UK, divided into 3 categories. So what's happening overall? Which ones are increasing, which ones are decreasing? You can see that mobile and national and international both increase. But what about the totals? This is a good example here. This is the kind of question where people will say, overall, local goes up and down, international and national goes up, and mobile goes up. Well, don't do that. That's the main features. You want to talk about those things in the main part, not in your overview. So in this case, look at the totals. What was the total number of calls made in the UK? So in 1995, it was, what's that, roughly 110 billion minutes. And you don't need to be precise. I don't need to say it was 73 plus 37 plus 4. Approximately, roughly, nearly is good enough. Okay. But then compare that. So it's about 110, wasn't it? 110 billion compared to 70 plus about 60 plus about, so about 170 or 180. So overall, the total number of calls in the UK total number of calls made in the UK rises. That's what's happening overall. People are making more phone calls. That's what that says. Again, the talking about this line's doing this and this one's doing this and this one's doing that, that's your main features. Don't mention it in your overview, please. Here's a diagram. So you can see before and after the construction of some tourist facilities. So what's happening overall? Before there was nothing, and now, or after, there is something. What are the somethings? Well, they've built some buildings, some roads and paths, or or tracks, vehicle tracks as they're calling it, and then they built a place for boats to moor. Moor means to park. You moor a boat, it's like parking your boat. So, you could say they made the swimming beach as well, but so you've got to mention all of those. If you miss the pier, this is what people do, students do on diagrams, they miss one of the things and then there are 4. So although diagrams are quite simple, because this is obviously different to this, it's less numbers analysis, the changes are actually clearer in my view. Overall, many roads, buildings and boat mooring structures have been added to completely change this small island. Okay, so there's a map. You've got to get all of the key features. If you miss one, you're a 4. So maps and diagrams require a different kind of attention. This is a good one. So we've got a very simple table and 2 pie charts. So look, the total number of visitors has increased. And before refurbishment, so it shows the numbers of visitors to Ashdown Museum during the year before and the year after it was refurbished. Refurbished means renovated, or everything's new inside. The charts show the results of surveys asking visitors how satisfied they were with their visit during the same 2 periods. So look, just looking at the, not looking at the numbers too much, but you can see here that the dotted one has increased. This horizontal stripes has increased a lot. These 2 have increased a lot, haven't they? And this one has basically decreased a lot. So here we need to mention the number of visitors, which has gone up. And look, the level of satisfaction has gone up. Overall, after the museum's refurbishment, the number of visitors and their satisfaction rate both went up. So, we've covered everything, haven't we? That's the overall, more visitors and them happier. Cool. So 2 countries are going down, 2 countries are going up. This is the average carbon dioxide emissions per person in the United Kingdom, Sweden, Italy and Portugal between 1967 and 2007. So 2 have gone down, 2 are going up, all right. But overall, look what's happening. I'm trying to get it the right way. They're going like that, aren't they? They're getting closer. Before they were quite different, and now, or 2007, they're quite similar. Overall, the 4 countries' emissions per person converge and become more similar. Converge means come together. It could be 2 roads come together, but here the numbers are converging. They're becoming closer. So that is quite simple, isn't it? And I'm trying to make this as simple as possible because most people make this too complicated. Okay? It's not complicated. If you ask the right questions and get the thinking right, everything's much easier. And here's a process, look. So remember the number of stages. We must have a number. So in here, it's quite helpfully, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 in the life cycle. 4 stages in the life cycle of the silkworm. You could put 5. You could say the cocoon becomes a moth, and then the moth lays eggs. But let's keep it simple. 4 is fine. And then look here. The stages again are quite easy. There are 5 stages, aren't there? Select, boil, unwind, twist, and weave. And dye, 6. Overall, the silkworm's life has 4 different steps, while the silk cloth production is a 5-stage process, which is fine. Dyeing, you could add on or not. It's not too important. Okay, so you must mention the number of steps or stages. If you don't, that's not an overview. So remember, you need a helicopter. Get in your helicopter, fly high, look down, don't get involved in all the little numbers in the beginning, apart from the table, because you have no choice. There is only numbers. And then don't include any of the main features in your overview, okay? Do not do that, please. And practice the question analysis. So spend lots of time analysing them. You don't need to do too much writing, but just spend your time analysing them. Okay? This whole question analysis is important for task 1 and task 2. And people they're too busy panicking and wanting to start writing. But you need to get the thinking stage right, and then the planning stage, and then your writing will be more fluent and quicker, and you'll feel safe because you have a plan. Okay, that's the end. Have a great day. Thank you very much for your time. I hope you are learning lots and doing well.